Namaskar. I am Dr. Nalini Avinash Wagmare, working as an assistant professor at Maharashtra Vidyapith. This is my brief information. Today's our topic is related to Indian Constitution. Uh, Actually, Indian Constitution is one of the biggest one of the rich constitution, one of the democratical constitution in republic form of constitution. We find many single citizenship, rights and duties, as well as adult franchise, uh, rights, duties, responsibilities, and it is a written constitution. So many things comes in Indian constitution, but very briefly, very means only highlighting in these lectures. So first of all, we go to the drafting of the Indian constitution. The Indian constitution is the supreme law of the land that has provided us a sovereign democratic republic committed to the concept of welfare state based on the egalitarian values in which people are masters through their representatives in the parliament responsible for democratic governance in the country. It is a democratic form of government. So in the drafting committee, they have decided it's a democratic republic form of constitution. Then the draft constitution was the result of the collective efforts of a galaxy of great leaders, legal scholars, and luminaries in the Constitution Assembly, such as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Sir Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, etc., who successfully enacted the document under the stewardship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as the chairman of the drafting committee. So the law of the land was finally adopted on 26 November 1949 and came into force on 26 January 1950, which marked the beginning of a new era in the history of India. So here the actually when we are studying the development of Indian Constitution, but here the only we are studying the features of the Indian Constitution. These are the members of the drafting committee of Indian Constitution. The father of the Indian Constitution, a drafting committee was elected by the Constituent Assembly on 29th August 1947. As we know that 15th August 1947 we got independence. So later on in the August they have assembly there. It elected the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to be its president for drafting the Indian Constitution. The Constitution as prepared by the drafting committee was circulated on 21st February 1948. This formed the basis of the discussion in and outside the Constituent Assembly. The drafting committee had 7 members apart from the chairman, which are Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as a chairperson, then Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, D.P. Ketan, N. Madhavrao, K.M. Munshi, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, T.T. Krishnamachari, Congress, Syed Muhammad Sadullah, Muslim League. So these are the members at the time presented there. And what were the duties and positions given in the drafting committee? In this chart, we have to look at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Minister of Law, Chairman of the committee, position he held. Then B.N. Rao, Constitutional Advisor. Jawaharlal Nehru, first Prime Minister of India. Then Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister. Then Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Minister of Education. Then Rajendra Prasad, President of Constitution Assembly. Then Sri Rajagopalachari, Governor General of India. So these all members participated in this committee. Then apart from women also participated in the Constitution Assembly. While we are studying the history, we also look after those things which is very, very necessary. These are the women's photo I collected from net. So these women also participated in the Indian Constitution, making time. Women members and their position also mentioned here. Ammu Swaminathan, she was a vocal voice for women's rights. Then Annie Mascarini worked on the select committee on the Hindu Code Bill. Then Begum Aziz Rasul, the lone Muslim woman member in the assembly, she was Muslim League's appointee. Then Dakshiani Velayudhan, uh, the first SC woman graduate of India, she advocated for SC rights in the assembly. Then Durgabai Deshmukh, she was the only woman in the panel of chairman of the assembly. Then Hansa Jivaraj Mehta, uh, Gandhian, she contributed to the UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Kamala Chaudhary was part of the first Nehru government. Then Leela Roy worked for Hindu-Muslim anonymity in Noakhali after quitting the assembly to protest partisan. Malati Devi Chaudhary, a Marxist, she later worked in Noakhali and for the Namsu Daras of Tripura. Punimam Banerjee made several interesting proposals, wanted the word sovereign dropped from the preamble. Rajkumari Amrutkaur from the Kapurthala royal family, she became the health minister in Nehru's cabinet. Renuka Roy worked on the Hindu Code Bill and included diverse rights. Then Sarojini Naidu was made the governor of United Provinces until her death in 1949. Suchita Kriplani was a member of the subcommittee that drafted the constitution, became the first woman chief minister in Uttar Pradesh. Vijayalakshmi Pandit became a diplomat later and was India's first woman ambassador to USSR. So these are most women participated in the members participated in the constitution making drafting time. Then what were the silent features of the Indian constitution? It was written as well as longest constitution in the world. It's a single citizenship, then fundamental rights, fundamental duties, direct to principal state policy, mixture of rigidity and flexibility found in this constitution. Then adult franchise, universal adult franchise given by constitution to adult people. Then India as a democratic, socialist, sovereign, secular, and republic state. These are the main features of the Indian constitution. Some others are also there, but for a lecture point of view, for brief introduction point of view, we check this step by step. Then Constitution of India. In the preamble, the only framework I have mentioned here, in the preamble, they have already mentioned that we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic to secure to all its citizens justice in social, economic, and political field, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. They have also granted those, even equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all, even fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constitution of Assembly, this 26th day of November 1942, hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. We adopted this Constitution ourselves to follow in our life. So today, Constitution bring all are equal in the eyes of no, without considering caste, community, sex, and other things. Then again, the preamble. What exactly mentioned in the preamble? In briefly, we have to study here. The preamble to the Constitution of India embodies the noblest ideals of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Like the preamble of USA Constitution, it runs in the name of people. It runs thus: we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute citizens, justice, social, economic, and political, liberty to thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and unity of the nation. So in our Constitution Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves. It's not given to anyone. It's give ourselves and adopted individually to our Constitution. So the preamble is not an integral part of the Constitution and does not have any legal force behind it, yet it is very significant. It contains lofty ideals which the framers of the Constitution have set before the future governments of India. It indicates the source, the sanction, the pattern, the objects, and the contents of the Constitution. It emphasizes the sovereignty of the people like the framers of the Constitution, the USA, Australia, France, Italy, and that of Western Germany. So here the right side the Constitution mentioned. A detailed Constitution. A Indian Constitution is a written one and it's a detailed one, and it is also one of the biggest constitution in the world. It is embodied in a comprehensive constitutional document consisting of 395 articles grouped in 22 parts and 9 schedules. One of the Ever Jennings remarks the Indian Constitution is the biggest and most detailed in the world. If you want to pick up this Indian Constitution, you will not keep the Indian Constitution in your pocket. It's one of the biggest and longest one. So in fact, the voluminous size of the Indian Constitution more than 5 times as long as that of the USA Constitution. So USA Constitution 20 pages you keep in your purse, in your pocket, anyway. But our Indian Constitution biggest and longest, and we not keep that one. So we have to sit, read, and study that one. So one of the written Constitution as well. It's not a oral Constitution; it's a written Constitution, and it is the biggest Constitution in the world. Then sovereign democratic republic adopted by our Constitution. The preamble to the Constitution declares India to be a sovereign democratic republic. Sovereignty of India is reflected from the fact that India is not subject to external control in its domestic or foreign policy. She is the master of her own destiny. The sovereignty of the independent country does not debar it from embracing the membership of other states or association of other states for the promotion of mutual interest or furthering the cause of peace. Hence, India sought the membership of UNO and Commonwealth of Nations. The Republican form of Indian Constitution implies that no monarch can be its head. Its head is an elected president. Parliamentary democracy. The Constitution provides for parliamentary type of government at the center and in the Constituent Assembly. There are 3 distinct characteristics of parliamentary form of government as constructed in English Constitution. Responsibility of the executive to the popular house, democratic basis of the popular house, the unlimited control of the lower house in matters legislative and financial. Then rigid come flexibility. The Indian Constitution is a unique combination of rigidity and flexibility. The framers of the Constitution were judicious enough to avoid making the Constitution so flexible as to become a tool in the hands of the ruling party, or so rigid as to be incapable of adapting itself to changing conditions. So the Constitution Assembly members that time they have decided that our Indian Constitution not too rigid, not too flexible one. If we make it say flexible, anyone can use as its tools. If more rigid, so it is very hard to change that Constitution and amending other things. So that's why the Indian Constitution rigidity come flexibility, 2 things we find in our Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution, in fact, is less flexible than the British and less rigid than that of the United States. The Constitution is called flexible when it makes no distinction between the constitutional and the ordinary law of the land and is amendable by the legislature through the ordinary procedure. The British Constitution is an example. The Indian Constitution could not be made so flexible without jeopardizing its federal character and placing the individual states composing the Indian Federation at the mercy of the Union legislature. Then another features of the Indian Constitution is secular state. Another distinct feature of the Indian Constitution is its secular character. In fact, this is a remarkable departure from the primitive Indian polity, theocratic state of the Muslim period, and the communal polity fostered by the British imperialists, particularly on the view of their withdrawal from India. The framers of the Indian Constitution were aware of the nasty role played by religious fanaticism and orthodoxy in their motherland. They did not like to shatter the national unity by allowing a particular religion to play a dominant role. They did not like to undermine the confidence of the religious minorities and thus shake the citadel of their infant democracy. Hence, they adopted a secular state where we can treat everyone equally without discriminate on the basis of caste, community, religion, and sex or language. Then judicial review also another feature of Indian Constitution. The doctrine of judicial review is as a matter of fact implicit in our Constitution. If the union or a state government transgresses the limitations imposed upon it by the Constitution through any law, the Supreme Court can declare such a law void. So judiciary is the main authority in Indian Constitution. For instance, Article 13 of our Constitution declares that any law of the legislature or act of executive which contravenes any of the promises of fundamental rights shall be void. Legislation impinging on the fundamental rights can be valid only if it imposes reasonable restrictions on the exercise of these rights, and the question of reasonableness would in fact in the last resort to be a matter of determination by the courts. The determination by the legislature of what constitutes a reasonable restriction is not final or conclusive. It is subject to supervision by the court. Thus, the judiciary reviews the acts of union and the state governments and safeguards and protects the rights and liberties of the people. So here the Indian judiciary always have a right to safeguard the rights to save the rights and safeguards of the Indian people. As such, it serves as a guardian of the rights of the people as well as custodian of the Constitution. That was a major work done by the Indian judiciary. Then integration and democratization of the states. Another noteworthy feature of the Indian Constitution is the integration of the Indian states with the rest of India as a consequence of their democratization. During the British regime, India was composed the British Indian provinces wherein some sort of democratic form of government existed, and the Indian states wherein the autocratic form of government was prevalent. With the passage of Independence Act of 1947, paramountcy of the Britishers over the ruler states also lapsed. Hence, they were free to join India or Pakistan or remain independent. The existence of independent sovereign states would have been a constant threat to the integrity of India. Fortunately, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India, happened to be our Home Minister. His practical and political acumen and steward statesmanship, coupled with the patriotic attitude of some of the Indian princes, enabled us to achieve political unity of India by following policy of merger and integration. When we take the lecture related to integration of Indian states, that we look after the related to how Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel integrate the Hyderabad, Kashmir states in India. Establishment popular minister in these states followed the integration. The fact this is an achievement almost unparalleled in the history of the world. Then another features of the Indian Constitution is the universal adult franchise. The boldest step the Constitution took was the introduction of universal adult franchise in the land of ill-rated millions. The separate electorate system, which showed the seats of the dissensions amongst the Hindus and Muslims, and ultimately resulted in the partition of country, was abolished. Property qualifications, which enabled only 40% of our people to cast votes during the Britishers' rule, was substituted by universal suffrage. In the words of Professor Srinivasan, the introduction of adult suffrage without any qualification of any kind is the boldest step taken by the Constitution Assembly and is an act of faith. So today whoever the above 14 years, they have a right to voting. So here we find that without on the basis of property, land, education, other things not considered, but who are the adult, they have a right to vote. Then fundamental rights. This is another feature of the Indian Constitution. The incorporation of a formal Bill of Rights in the Constitution is deemed to be a distinguished feature of a democratic state. One of the outstanding characteristics of the Indian Constitution is the elaborate enumeration of the rights of the citizens in Chapter 3. They are justifiable. Judiciary is their guardian. Of course, they are not absolute and can be suspended during emergencies in the larger interest of the state. These rights are enabled in the Article 12 to 35 of the Indian Constitution, which are our fundamental duties. These all mentioned in the Indian Constitution, the Article 12 to 35. They refer to right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, then right to property, and right in constitutional remedies. These are the rights we have. These rights given by Indian Constitution to us. Only thing is we have to use these rights in a proper manner. Then directive principle of state policy. Then another feature of Indian Constitution is the directive principle of the state. The following patterns are Spanish and Irish constitutions. The Indian Constitution contains a chapter on directive principles of state policy in part 4. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar emphatically described them as a novel feature of the Constitution of India. They are the ideals which the union and state government must keep in mind while they formulate policy or pass a law. They lay down certain social, economic, and administrative principles suitable to a peculiar conditions prevailing in India. In the words of G.N. Joshi, they constitute a very comprehensive political, social, and economic program for a modern democratic state. Then other character is that centralized federation. The Constitution creates a federal state, even though the term federation has not been used anywhere in the document. In a vast country like India, inhabited by diverse races, speaking different languages and claiming cultures, federation was rather inevitable. All the normal features of federal polity are therefore embodied in the Constitution, that is distribution of power between the center and the Constitution units, a written Constitution and its supremacy, the existence of the Supreme Court to act as the interpreter and guardian of the Constitution, and the rigid character of the Constitution, etc. But at the same time, the centrifugal forces at work within our country indicated the need of a strong central government. A weak center had even been the cause of our humiliation in the past, and we did not like history to repeat itself. The center was therefore deliberately kept strong. So this point today also we find how central government is more strong than state government. Then welfare state points also found in our Indian Constitution. The preamble to the Indian Constitution embodies the highest and the noblest ideals of justice, social, economic, and political. Then liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, fraternity assuring the dignity of individual and the unity of the nation. Their lofty ideals are the cornerstone of the welfare state. The Indian Constitution launched a campaign against artificial barriers and man-made inequalities. Abolition of untouchability and title is a witness to this fact. The Constitution does not only prohibit discrimination or grounds of birth, religion, caste, or creed, but also provides for the promotion of the interest of the backward classes. It seeks to remove all inequality by providing just and humane conditions of work, maternity relief, leisure and cultural opportunity to every individual, prevention of exploitation in labor and industry, and free education for all. Equality of reward for equal work, the distribution of ownership and control of the material resources of the community so as to serve the common good, avoidance of concentration of wealth and means of production to the common detriment, user in the era of the economic justice. So welfare of the state is the main feature also we find in Indian constitution. So another thing is sovereignty resides in the people, main authority in the hands of the people mentioned in our Indian constitution. So the preamble to the constitution proclaims that India is a land of our people and sovereignty resides in the people of India. The people are the authors of the constitutional law. It is they who have entrusted to the various organs of government their respective powers and functions. The union government cannot claim sovereignty because its authority is derived from the constitution, which can by an amending process also deprive it of its powers. Same is the case with the governments of the individual states. The Supreme Court seems to be the organ of the highest power as it can challenge the acts of the both legislative and executive branches of government. But the Supreme Court also, like any other organs of government, is ultimately controlled by the Constitution. The constitutional itself is not sovereign as its provisions can be amended by the constitutional process of amendments. In fact, sovereignty resides in the people of India. The authority has emanated from the people. They have conferred powers on the organs of the government. They themselves have enacted the constitution. They themselves can unmake it. The preamble speaks of the people of India. India, according to the preamble, is the land of our people and sovereignty is vested in the people as a whole. Sovereignty resides in the united people of India. The constitution was drafted and adopted by the people of India in their constitution assembly. So, more authority in the hands of the people. And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and social justice found in the constitution also. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was instrumental in providing the reservation for backward communities, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in service, central as well as state legislatures. The relevant provisions in the constitution are included under the Article 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 23, 25, 29, 35, 41, 124, 164, 244A, 275, 330, 332, 334, 335, 338, 339, 314, 341, 371A, 371B, 371C. Some other articles also, article number 19, 20, 21, 24, 39, 43, 44, 45, 46, 143, 8D, 51, 356. Helpful to build harmony in the society without discrimination on the basis of caste, class, sex, and religion, and solve the present problems in India by using these articles. Then what was the nature of the Indian Constitution? Actually, the nature of the Indian Constitution is it's a written constitution, it's the biggest constitution, it's a republic form of government, then single citizen adopted when we go to the foreign countries or European countries, we find the double citizenship there. But in India, anywhere you go to, once you have a citizenship of this Maharashtra, you go to the Karnataka, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, you are considered as a single citizen person. So that was the main feature of this constitution also. Everyone has equal rights in front of the Indian constitution. All are equal in the eyes of the constitution. That points we find in the Indian constitution. So these are the reference books you can refer for more understanding or detailed study of the Indian constitution. So thank you. Thank you very much.